Hi, good afternoon to everyone. So exciting.
Good afternoon.
We'll leave it to you now.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Shami. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our panel discussion. So I'm Bernard, I'm the CEO of EdgeProp, and I will be moderating this session. So joining me today on the panel is Mohammad Ismail Gafoor, the CEO of PropNex, the largest real estate agency in Singapore, and also Kelvin Fong, the Executive Director at PropNex. So for those of y'all who are joining us today, I hope you all have had your lunch. So if not, this shouldn't take too long. It's another 30-35 minutes or so. Now, before I get into the questions, we have a few questions to answer. But let me just share some slides with you. Sorry, there's a connection problem. Hold on. Cannot see, right? Can see.
Cannot, Bernard, but no worries.
Can hear my voice, right? I think can hear my voice already.
Yes, Bernard. Bernard can hear your voice clearly. No worries, because Kelvin also got some slides which are quite similar to the slides that you.
Oh, okay.
So we can read along. You can ask the questions, and we will do our level best in the next 30 minutes to be meaningful. Yeah.
Okay. So let me just start.
You there, Bernard?
Yep. Hang on. Sorry.
He's very stressed now because the Wi-Fi not working.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
Can y'all see the slide I'm going to present?
Yeah, I can see your screen now.
Can see, is it? Okay.
Just waiting for your slides to come out.
Okay, how about now? Can you see?
No. You cannot see your screen yet in terms of your slides.
Hold on.
I guess you need to.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
Okay, I think no worries at all.
Let me just come back in. Give me 1 minute. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So Bernard, you mean you want to exit and come in or what?
No. I'll just stop sharing. I think we just get to the questions lah. I'm sorry.
Sure, no worries.
I don't know what's going on, but yeah, let's just get to the questions. So I think one of the questions that I think Ray also previously mentioned, and Jip also have shared about Strata Landed, we have seen that the price performance for landed properties has gone up quite a bit lah over the last couple of years, especially since COVID began. So I guess in your view, in your respective view, what is driving this performance? Is it just COVID? Is it interest rates? Are there something else that is driving the performance of landed properties?
Okay, I think.
Start with Ismail. Yeah.
Good. Thanks, Bernard. What I will do here is this. I think, Calvin, maybe if you can share the slides, it would be good. We can take as a reference point for the rest of them to also have a good understanding. You know, landed property is definitely really very well sought after, because these are limited in numbers in Singapore. And for some people, the minute you own a landed property means you actually, I won't use the word you have arrived, that's not the right word, but you have actually gone into the right direction as far as owning an asset that has got a lot more upside moving forward. That's the way I look at it. And if you look at in terms of the price index over the time, even before COVID, maybe if Calvin, you can show the landed home price index. Yeah. From here, you could see that it is not COVID that in particular brought the price hugely. Even before, when you look at 2018 and 19, right on top, 2018, the landed property price index went up by 6.3%. and 2019 for 5.7%, and both the years had almost, in fact, 12%. Only last year during the COVID itself, people were a bit more concerned, trying to understand where will the market go and how the impact. But when I look at it this year, there was a huge increase, and we are expecting a double-digit growth of more than 10% for this year. So generally speaking, today we are at the all-time high. Yeah, that's as far as the landed property price index is concerned. I will let Calvin bring into the next slides to give a better understanding of the price movement.
Yeah, but I think before we go to the next slides, I just want to share one point here is that generally, if you look at the landed market here, is that even though there is always up and down, right? But actually, eventually, it will still go all the way upwards because of the supply and demand, and also more and more people desire to have a bigger piece of land and a bigger, more space in a sense. So that's the reason why people are taking advantage in terms of upgrading too. So if you look at the volume also has actually gone up compared to the last year and the year before in terms of the volume. Maybe Ismail, you want to touch on a little bit more about certain parts?
Yeah, I think if you look at it as far as the volume is concerned, this year alone for the first 9 months, we have got 2,615 units being sold. But most interestingly, maybe I will bring back to some of the overall volume that has taken place. In fact, this year we are going to expect about 3,500 units, and this is going to be in the last 10 years high. If you look at it since 2010, and obviously the numbers were 11 and 12 was about 3,000. Thereafter, it all dwindled because of the TDSR, total debt servicing ratio. When people want to own a second property, then they have got difficulties because of additional stamp duties, loan to value. But right now, if you look at it, for the first 9 months, it's 2,615. And again, the terrace houses have done exceptionally well. In fact, if you look at all segments, the terrace houses for the first 9 months is 1,491, and semi-detached 755, and as well as the detached houses. So where are we heading? Strong volume. Yeah. Why so? Why people are now suddenly excited about landed properties? I think Bernard did ask a question. Has COVID has got some impact on these things? The fact that people are working from home and they need more space. Landed home does provide space. Actually, if you look at it from a per square foot, it is a value proposition. Landed property, a huge value proposition. But what is the main stumbling block is the quantum that not many people can afford. Yeah, I mean, that much I would like to stress upon at this juncture. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think one of the questions that got brought up was on prices. So do you see the price trend continuing its upward trajectory, or do you think we are at its peak?
Okay, I mean, if I touch on that, maybe if I can show price points of overall, I'm not so sure whether average unit price point. This is definitely a very, very interesting slide where I think the 500 over of the participants from the Zoom and as well as all the Facebook followers and so on, you look at 2005. If you look at the detached house, semi-detached house, and terrace houses, and we are talking about a mere 15 years ago, okay, the average per square foot of the houses were only 400 plus, 420. The bigger the house is lesser, the smaller the house is slightly higher, 474. And then if you move on to 2009, what has happened in just another 4 years? The price from the 400 in 2009 all has moved up closer towards the 700 mark. Okay, within after 3 years, it's all about the 700 mark. And then you move another 2 years later, we look at it in year 2012. Now we are looking at all the prices coming to the 1,100 mark. And slowly thereafter, 2013 was the total debt servicing ratio. Therefore, from 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, the market just dwindled. I mean, I won't say dwindle, it was just moving, meandering around about the same price. That's why if you look at the price point, even on top was just about the same. But then look at now 2021. The prices have moved to the new prices of hitting 1391, almost is going to be 1004. The inter-terrace are already 1004. And this we are only talking about the average of the whole of Singapore. I'm not going into the OCR or the RCR or the cost central region. Then the question here is, Bernard, you're asking, is there an upside to the property prices of the landed? Then I ask this question: what is the average price of the condominiums? What is the average price per square foot of other developments, either resale or new launches? And therefore, when you look at it in terms of the price of the landed properties, I think they are still very, very decent. In fact, the average price of the OCR outside the central region, 99-year leasehold condo is already $1,590. And we are talking about average unit prices of a landed property is only 1,003 to 1,004. And if you ask me why there is definitely an upside to the landed property in terms of price increment, two reasons. Number one, limited supply. Number two, we cannot forget the fact that there are also newly minted citizens who will look at landed property as a price asset to enter. Yeah, I mean, these are some of the reasons why I'm still confident. Looking at a trend of 15 years, property prices of the landed has been in the upward trend.
I think Bernard actually mentioned just now, Bernard mentioned that will the price still continue to go upward in a sense, right? Maybe I just want to add in the sense that if you look at the detached house, you're talking about semi-D and terrace between the 2013 versus the 2021, in terms of so many years, about 8 years, the time frame is about 8 years, prices has actually so-called inch up. If you look at the detached, it's probably about $100 per square foot. But you look at semi-D, it's only like $50 per square foot. So generally, only the terraces house. Why terraces house actually move so much higher? Of course, mainly also because of more affordability. So the question is, I think people will be thinking, is it still worthwhile to enter the market? I think this is something that more people are looking at it, because they see that the prices has gone up. So is it still worthwhile to enter the market in terms of landed? If you can look at these particular charts, actually tell us only one thing. Landed is something that is not a lot. The supply is always not there. So no matter when the time frame that you are actually intending to buy, right? Eventually, if you have the long-term and holding power, if those people are interested in freehold, it's like a legacy plan. And generally landed, because of the supply is so low, prices will eventually goes up. But why is it that the volume of the transaction has been going up also? Mainly also because people are concerned, if I don't do anything now, will I still be able to own a piece of landed? If you look at some of the GCB prices has gone up so much, of course that's for the rich in a sense, right? But generally, it's also because everybody is concerned with TDSR in place. If I don't do anything now, will I still be able to own a piece? And why am I talking about the difference in terms of 8 years here, right? Actually, I'm just trying to let everybody understand. If the prices, this is a very good price guide for many people here, but unfortunately this price guide may not be general for all or equal to everything. Because why? Like just now Melvin has actually shown one that is run down, one that is fully rebuilt, so the prices can also be a lot of differences, but this is generally on average price. So if you guys are really interested to take opportunity to upgrade to a landed, I must say that this 8 years, the price upward is only that much in terms of average per square foot. If you still have a chance to go and own a landed property, and you probably can consider to go for it and look for one, because ultimately long-term wise, eventually landed still has a very strong upside. Because you look at the condo, like what Ismail has mentioned, right? The condo mass market has already reached 1,007, 1,008 per square foot in terms of condo. So the landed market is still actually behind. So I think there is still a lot of opportunity. I think the only concern is because of TDSR. So if those people who wants to, you may want to consider looking at one, to source for something that is affordable within your range, I think eventually hold for long term will still be a good gauge. That's how I feel, Bernard.
Kelvin, it's good you mentioned about supply. So the supply of landed properties is generally quite fixed. But what we're seeing these days is there are a lot of those boutique developers coming into the market, right? So I think some of Paul was just now mentioning some of the boutique developers, and you have guys like the Sevens Groups. What is your view in terms of the impact of these boutique developers entering the landed space? Will this result in an oversupply?
I don't think there will be a oversupply issue, because ultimately the landed is still not as, in terms of supply, not as many. But in fact, because of affordability issue, right? All these boutique developer, eventually what they are trying to do here is to maybe cut the land into 2 more pieces or 3 more pieces. Eventually can still make the size smaller, but they actually raise the build up actually more. So it's still a very strong livable space. So I think people will, if you ask me, will there be a lot of supply more? I don't think so, because there's also not many as well.
Yeah, I think from a supply point, Bernard, there's also one slide, maybe we can try to show it to you from the supply side. Maybe the last slide's an unsold supply of landed homes. Next one, maybe, I think, yeah. Let's see, the unsold supply is towards the last slide, I think, yeah. Okay. Last one, the last one.
Yeah, this one.
Down all the way, not up, Okay.
Oh, here, this one.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So when you look at it, what am I trying to highlight here is it from the unsold supply of landed homes. What is this? The blue chart and the bar, and as well as the orange bar shows here is this. The unsold, total unsold and incomplete landed units launched and not launched yet. And if you look at it in any part of the quarter at any time, we have got less than 300 units. And Bali is only about 250 units or 246 units. So the supply side is not strong at all. And especially when you look at the blue bar, which shows the unsold completed landed private residential units, is, if you look at the second quarter, I think you can't even see, probably less than 5. Yeah.
3.
So yeah, it's 3. Yeah, correct. Exactly. The number has been given. See, so these are all single digit number. So that's why the demand has been so positive and strong. And one of the key thing here is this: government don't really hugely come out. You see, where do we get landed property in terms of the land sites? We know all government land sites have to be 99-year leasehold. Government cannot sell a GLS at freehold. And as far as condominiums are concerned, we got a huge supply of a GLS that are 99. Therefore, if one is looking at a 999 or a freehold landed property, then it has to be an existing private land bank. As what Kelvin said, some of the bigger plots are further subdivided into 2 or 3 units based on the size and the frontage. Other than that, the supply really will not be enough to cater to the desires of a lot more Singaporeans and the newly minted citizens who want to have a piece of a land. The feeling of, even if it is a small inter-terrace house of 2,000 square foot, just having a small garden to plant your rose plant or something like that you like, it makes you feel so comfortable and something at peace. And that's something people will always chase, and the demand is going to be strong.
Thank you. Thanks, Ismail. I mean, we have been looking about the landed market as a whole. Are there any particular areas in Singapore or any particular districts that you would like to point out to our investors that are tuning in? Potentially prices in areas where prices have not gone up too much, where there could still be opportunities. Could you share some of these areas?
Surely, I think and Kelvin will share on 2 different parts. I think interestingly, we prepared 2 slides. These are some of the research done by our in-house research as well. But basically what this slide shows here is this: the top 10 districts for this year in terms of transactions, volume, and as well as values. So in terms of value, obviously, District 10 is the most expensive. 191 transaction has been done with a value of 2.7 billion because there are many GCBs and all other things is been there. But then if you look at in terms of the highest number of transaction is done is District 19, the third bar, which has got 364 units transacted in 9 months. Yeah, and it goes down. See, one of the key things I would like to advise people here is this. When you're buying a landed property, is ideal. I'm not saying that you must. It is ideal to buy in districts that are very popular and more transaction take place, like District 15, okay, District 19, or if you look at it in terms of the District 28, Seletar, District 16, which is the Siglap area, the Budok area, Upper East Coast, 174. Why I say that here is this. These are the areas where, because when there are more transactions and if it inches up its way, when you want to sell your property, you enjoy two things. One, more buyers will be looking at these areas. I give it a very simple example. If a doctor owns a property or a lawyer owns a property at Serangoon Chom Chom, he have got a lot of his doctor friends or relatives. No doubt COVID people cannot visit, but generally Chinese New Year, open house people visit. And you know, a lot of doctors and professionals or business people, their children inherit, take over the business, and their children also want to be a doctor. So what am I trying to say here is in their subconscious mind, either their friends, partners, all who visit these places, they want to also be like them to own a property. Versus if you buy, let's say, a landed property, it is not in a strong landed enclave, surrounded by HDB. Either it could be in the eastern corner of Pasir Ris, or it could be a realty park near Hougang. Then it is so small that the volume of transaction is not there. So what's the danger when there isn't a lot of volume of transactions? The next valuation cannot be higher than the last transactions. So it tends to bring down the price. It doesn't go as much. But when you buy a property in a district where there's a lot more transactions and a lot more eyeball where other people want to buy, chances are the property prices will go much higher. I mean, this is just from a broad perspective for you to understand where you want to put your money. But on the other hand, you know, what District 15 or 16 or 19 definitely will be a little bit more pricier than some of those districts that is not as active in terms of sales. Yeah.
Generally also, Ismail, I think it's also because of the enclave area generally are all landed area. That's why the volume of transaction also generally are higher, because more people knows, everybody, I think most of the people think Serangoon Garden, that's why people are actually looking into, that's why the volume can be so high, because also the population over there is also higher and more upgraders as well.
Yeah, no, you are right. One of the key thing here is this, because certain areas are known as landed enclave, because if you talk about the entire Serangoon, obviously there are more volume of transaction because to start with, they have a more number of landed properties in those districts. And that's why the activities are very much more stronger. In fact, the next slide, Bernard, I will just add on to the next slide by showing most affordable district in terms of average unit prices. So what we have done here is this, we just took for the first 3 quarters, something that is as real as it is right now. So from this chart, you can see in terms of 2 things, district and the number of units have been sold, and as well as the average unit price. Therefore, you look at it, Jurong, District 22, there were 37 transactions done, and the average unit price is only $817. Why so? But then if you look at it in Jurong, there is this group of a huge cluster, I must say, a 99-year leasehold Westwood area. There's a few hundreds of our landed property. Does it give you the same lifestyle and the feel? I say yes. Whether it is 99 or freehold, you still can park the car, you have a small garden, you have the convenience, you have the space, you have the high ceiling, and everything it comes. But because it is 99, entry price is much lower from an affordable perspective. Then if you move upward, there are also freehold that you can get it either at Sembawang or for that matter, even as Seletar. Again, look at the average transaction price is only 1,171. And there were 200 transactions at District 28 has taken place. And when you look at 1,171 per square foot, is cheaper than the executive condominium entry price. So that's why we are very, very upbeat that landed is the way to go for those people who can afford. And it is a long term. Yep. But then the question later part, probably we need to talk about whether is it 99 or freehold, that I'm not so sure like there's interest when people to ask. Maybe I'll stop here, and if there's anything else, Calvin and Bernard, you want to add on this?
No, I mean we can talk about that next. So one of the questions that came up repeatedly is, when it comes to buying landed home, I should be buying a freehold landed, right? I shouldn't be buying a 99-year landed. What is your response to that?
Because I cannot say you cannot buy, shouldn't buy, because I do own a 99 landed and I do own a freehold landed. Yeah. So,
Okay.
but I mean, when I talk about a 99, it's because of Sentosa landed can only be 99. Therefore, I felt that it's okay to buy a 99 because only in Sentosa, a 99-year leasehold, foreigners can buy. Okay. As far as the mainland Singapore is concerned, foreigners are not able to buy a landed property unless with special approval, and that's not easy to be attained. Therefore, my advice will be, I won't say don't buy 99. Both have its advantages and disadvantages. One of the greatest advantage of 99-year leasehold landed here is entry-level quantum is cheaper. Yeah, versus a freehold, and the gap is, I must say, a fair bit of probably as it could be as much as 30 to 35%. In some district can even be higher. Yep, that's as far as the 99-year leasehold in terms of entry level. But what is one thing that people need to be aware of here is, unlike a condominium, en bloc potential can be triggered as long as 80% of people agree, and therefore the condominium goes en bloc. But you have a landed 99, and assuming there are 50 landed properties in 3 streets, in order to do an en bloc, 100% of the people must agree. If 1% or 3% in between the streets are not agreeable to go on an en bloc, then we are stuck with a lease decay. And the danger of a lease decay here is the estate look dilapidated because nobody is prepared to invest so much to rejuvenate the whole place. And over time, the prices start to dwindle. That means when you buy is reasonable, let's say, for example, you buy 2.5 million, you will still enjoy a price increment in the next 10, 20, 30 years, maybe even up to 40 years. The minute the lease started to come down below 60 years, 50 plus, 40 plus, then the legacy handing over, which is usually associated with a lender property, may be minimal in the case of a 99-year leasehold after some time. But a freehold is huge upside. The longer you hold is like a gold mine. So that's the major difference as far as I look at it from the 99 versus freehold.
Thank you. Thanks, Ismail. Also, one of the questions that got brought up during the earlier discussion is the question on construction costs. So construction costs has gone up considerably, right? So when it comes to buying a landed home, would you advise someone to buy a piece of land, rebuild it or tear it down, or buy one that is already completed, because you have to take into account for construction costs these days? Okay,
maybe I do this. I will share this. Calvin will have a good experience and to share also, because he's also staying in a landed that is literally done up. I bought a landed and I'm doing some renovation. I know the nightmare, but I would suggest anybody, before you want to buy a landed, it's good to do a health check whether your heart is strong, whether your high blood pressure is okay. Why I say that here is this. If you don't have time, if you are so busy in your work, if you think that you got budget very tight, then I suggest buying a dilapidated house or buying a empty land to build can be nightmare. Can be. But you can avoid it if you bring in professionals to do it. But you know, COVID has created a situation that construction costs sometimes very difficult to lock in. Today is one price, but the material cost goes up, labor cost goes up. Like Mavin said, that probably 1.3 million, 1.5 million. Yes, you can bring in a reputable developer. Yep, Eddie has also highlighted, it's very, very important. But cost is something it may run. So that's one of the things. And then there's a time part. Because of lack of manpower, it can drag, instead of a 12 month, it can go on to 18 months and so on. So, but one of the biggest advice I would like to give to people here is this. I have purchased many landed properties during my journey. My first property was an inter-terrace, upgraded to a semi-detached, to a landed. And as I said, I do own a couple of landed properties, but none of the landed property I demolished to the ground and rebuilt so far. I may, but I've not. But if you want to avoid that, what you have to do here is this. When you buy a property, you must make sure the main structures are already in sound condition where you can just do an A&A, additions and alterations. And that suits your requirement. Because if that doesn't suit your requirement, then it's not possible. If let's say the structure is such that the height is so low, you cannot go and amend that. It's not possible. That will cost you a lot of money. The advantage of doing a complete demolish and build definitely give you huge leeway, because you can totally plan and organize even a basement or whatever it is based on your budget. So you have to be very mindful, because the cost is something not cheap. Yeah, I'll stop here first. Kevin, your experience on this?
Yep, I think I'm blessed that of course I managed to get a unit that is done up and also developed by a small-time developer as well. So I think it will save me a lot of time and effort. I look at what Ismail has been doing, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we don't have a lot of time, unless honestly our pocket is very deep. Then we can actually get somebody and manage it and do everything. If not, generally, if you want to talk about rebuilding yourself, you must really have the time and patience enough to do so. I'm just thinking to even just to select painting, everything was already hell for me in a sense. So luckily for me here is that almost everything is done up. I do not need to stress myself over all this. If not, then I think will be not an easy task for many people. But of course, like builders, there are many types. I went around to see different kind of developer. Some of the developers are really putting, they have passion in terms of building. They are not just building for the sake of just money per se to make the money, but they spend a lot of small little details in terms of ensuring all the design, the artwork, all the design was done properly, all the cabinets are also done properly. But because some of them may not have done it, of course, at the end of the day, it comes with a price. So of course, at the end of the day here, it's really dependent on individual, because A&A is something like you still can borrow some money, but of course, but rebuild is something that is interesting unless you really have the time. If not, generally, I would advise here is that try to get something that within your liking. If not, you want to do a simple A&A, then will be good. If you want to spend some time to rebuild, I think it's better that you probably go and look around some of the developers, small-time developers, if they're willing to, maybe they are willing to, you see, the most important, yes, they will charge you a little bit more premium. But the most important here is that you save a lot of time and hassle. This is something that I think most people must think through very carefully. Buy is very easy, to redevelop is another stress level. So I think those who intend to do so must think carefully before you make your decision in a sense. If not, just now I saw some of the landed property that is really done so beautifully, right? So like even I saw that just now I was here later, so I saw Melvin one is also quite nice. I saw some of them are really very nicely done. Wow, you can save so much money in terms of doing that, and you can just move in straight away. This is the hassle-free kind of a landed property if you like that design. Yeah.
Somewhat related to this question is the question on valuation, right? So when it comes to buying a landed property, how much value do you attach to the land versus the built up or the property that you built? Is there a rule of thumb for this?
No, I would say, valuation is not science, more of an art, but there's science factors involved, I must say, from the perspective of, obviously from a valuer perspective, he asked two questions. First, land size. So the land will be valued, whether it's a vacant plot or dilapidated house or even not livable condition, the land itself got a value. And that will be the low base, and that provides the base value of a landed property. Then the second value that is added on to the base value will be the condition and the construction of the house. Is this a 20-year-old construction, or is it a 10-year, or is it a brand new? And if it is a brand new, how much have the developer or the owner have invested in terms of building it? Assuming the owner have spent $2 million for the house, and assuming it's very recent, the valuer is able to give the base value plus the 2 million, and he can give you the value being like that. On the other hand, if the base value is X and the owner 10 years ago spent about, let's say, 2 million, and he take into consideration the usage of 10 years, and based on the current, he may add on about 1.5 million little depreciated value. So that's how the dynamics of a landed property valuation works.
Thank you. Thanks. I think we are almost running out of time. So just looking at the Q&A, there's a question on cooling measures. Is it likely, not likely? If it is likely, what are some of these measures?
Okay, Bernard, I will take this because I've been looking at the numbers every day, and I was so happy when I went over the weekend to sleep so comfortably, because the good news was the third quarter, the price index only went up by 0.9%, less than 1%. Second quarter was 0.8%. Therefore, the price movement has been reasonable. The government has made it very clear. And second quarter, Ravi Menon from MAS, MD said, the real estate market is not overheated. That was 30th June when he was interviewed. And what I look at it from then until 9 months, what has changed? Price has moved up by less than 1%. Therefore, I can come to the similar conclusion that the market is not overheated. And I think the government, I don't think, in this is my personal view, I don't think the government at this juncture, with a lot of uncertainties, construction costs, manpower costs, developer challenges, and all other things, would want to implement a cooling measures because the market is not overheated. At least for the next 2 quarters, I'm confident. Again, these need to be monitored. If in the event, let's say next year, if the government do come out with cooling measures, and in my view, if ever they come out, it is triggered by price increment that is not sustainable. Okay. In that situation, I also think the government will only likely to calibrate few levers. Number one, total debt servicing ratio can come down from 60% to 50%, which means any one of you who are thinking of buying a property or landed property, the longer you wait, if ever there's a cooling measure, there's a risk of this total debt servicing ratio. That's possible. Number two, if at all the government, because of concern of economic uncertainty, may do some calibration of loan to value, especially if it is a second or third property, because the government do not want, authorities think that you shouldn't over leverage. Other than that, I am not thinking the government will ever wants to increase further stamp duties, because our stamp duties are already at its brim that even you increase anything much, make not much sense. And this is just my opinion.
Kelvin, anything to add to that?
Personally, I find that even there is a cooling measure wise, I don't think it will affect the price generally so much, because the pandemic has already shown us very well that, very clear that, right, during the pandemic, the drop is only almost at 1% only. After that, it has rebounded in terms of the numbers. So it really tells us one thing, people who can afford to buy a property in today's market condition are actually people who can afford to hold on for long term. So it's unlike last time during 2008 Lehman crisis or 2013, where the number of cooling measure has supported in such a way that it actually erased all the speculators away. So as a result, most people who generally hold on to the property are actually looking at long term. If the market drop, just drop, don't bother. At the end of the day, they believe that the prices eventually will still go up. Because today, a lot of people has concern. If I'm going to sell my property, what else can I buy? Am I going to subject to additional stamp duty or what? So a lot of people choose to what? Actually hold on to the property. In fact, the supply is actually not as many. As a result, that's why prices seems to be moving. The good thing here is that because of this pandemic, somehow or other, the prices has not really pushed up in the sense of too much. If you look at the last third quarter, the result came out is only 0.9%. So it only tells us one thing, that market is still well calibrated in the sense of the prices. So for those people, if you are really intending to buy something, long term still is a good thing to go on in a sense. Yeah. I would say this is a good time to really look at restructure in terms of your current asset and look at what is their best to even upgrade to a better property. I think that's the most ideal situation now.
Okay, thank you, Ismail. Thank you, Kevin. I think we ran out of time. So perhaps before we end this, any final advice to either landed homeowners or aspiring landed homeowners? Maybe just a quick couple of minutes, last minute advice for the listeners out there. Yeah.
Really appreciate that. I think first, Bernard, I really want to thank EdgeProp. Honestly, I really must say that this is an opportunity. I think from morning we had got almost close to 1,000 people from Facebook and all coming in. Yes, lunchtime up and down, number dwindles, but it is a true value add. This collaboration has helped, and I'm also thankful that there are many people from PropNex, even though it's in a platform with PropNex, a lot of people from networking to coming to attend. And I'm also happy to say the PropNex lender teams, here we share information, even though we got few other lender teams, but in terms of providing a platform, was most number of listings are spearheaded by some of those people who shared Ratio, Andy Cheng, Jip Ng, Alex Ng, Ben Huang, and many others. I mean, people who come and share, people like Melvin and so on. So I really want to give one piece of advice. I knew that long ago when I was young, fortunately, because I bought my first inter-terrace house in the early 90s at $610,000, and that was a brand new development from the developer. Yeah. So today, that same property will be well above $3.5 million. So that being the case, all I'm trying to say here is this. If you can afford, have your base investment as a landed property. It doesn't matter if it's inter-terrace or corner terrace or semi-D. Doesn't matter if it's in District 28 or District 19 or District 15. Doesn't matter. The mere fact that you already have a foothold in a landed property means you first enjoy lifestyle, space, and number two, you're going to keep pace with inflation and affordability. When the time is right, you can either upgrade or you can downsize and take all the money and be happy. So landed is the way to go.
Totally agree in a sense, because at the end of the day here that we are trying to educate our clients out there or consumer out there, your objective is towards your retirement point of time. Is it going to be a $5 million that is fully paid up or $8 million that is fully paid up? Just like what Ismail has mentioned, even though I start from inter-terrace, it's okay. Inter-terrace slowly upgrade to corner terrace to semi-D, eventually to a detached. Eventually, our objective is just simple. We hope our consumers out there really towards the end of the retirement, they have a good sum of money to retire happily. Even from a landed point of view here is if I can own a $8 million property, then I downgrade to a $1 million or $2 million property, I easily still have a good sum of money to retire. And that is always in terms of our education that we are providing to our consumer out there, right? We really want them to see their future to be well taken care of. It's not about just buying a property. It's all about forcing yourself to save money into the property. I always feel that one thing, the bigger that you are buying in terms of the price, actually you save more money. It also forces yourself to move forward. That's what I always like to tell people. The property may not make money. Even I just bought my landed property 1 year ago. I just tell myself, even at the end of the day, it does not make money. I know for one thing for sure, at the end of my retirement, this property is fully paid and I can retire happily. And that's the end goal for all our consumers out there. And we really wish that every one of you can have a good retirement. For a start, it may be tough, may be stressful, but towards your end, you will have a happy ending. And that's what we hope to our consumer to be.